Even when you're following all the best practices, it's still important to test that what you've built is accessible. This section will cover accessibility testing at a high level. We'll cover 3 types of accessibility testing: automated accessibility testing, manual accessibility testing, and assistive technology testing. Automated accessibility testing is fantastic. There are a number of tools you can use to quickly identify accessibility issues on websites, web applications, and other documents. They require minimal effort to run and can be run ad hoc to spot check issues. The downside is that they won't cover all accessibility issues, only about 30 to 40% of WCAG violations. However, any issue caught with an automated tool doesn't need to be caught through manual testing, and addressing these issues early results in fewer issues in production. On the screen, I have several automated testing tools that could be useful. These include Accessibility Insights for Web, WebAIM Wave, Arc Toolkit, and Axe DevTools. These are all browser extensions you can install. There are also tools like AxeCore and PA11Y CI that you can integrate into your testing suite. To cover the remaining accessibility issues that automated testing can't catch, you can perform manual testing. Manual accessibility testing requires more expertise and time, but it's the only approach that covers all WCAG success criteria. Manual testing involves reviewing keyboard accessibility, page titles, alt text, headings, color contrast, text resizing, visual focus, form field labels, moving and flashing content, multimedia alternatives, page structure, and more. Let's go over some things you can integrate into your testing process to catch these accessibility issues. We'll start with keyboard testing, because this is by far one of the easiest and most important checks, testing your entire website to make sure that every interactive element can be reached with a keyboard. This is incredibly important and relatively easy to do. You can do this by simply turning off your mouse or leaving it alone and using your keyboard. Use the Tab and Shift-Tab keys to browse the content, making sure you can reach every interactive element. There are some elements where you may need to use arrow keys instead, such as menu items or radio buttons, but making sure you can interact with every element using these keys will ensure that your product is keyboard accessible. Here are some things to look for when keyboard testing. Do mouse interactive elements gain focus with the Tab key? Can elements be operated with other keys, like arrow keys? Is there a visible focus indicator on every interactive element? Is the tab order logical? Finally, are there keyboard traps, areas you can enter but can't exit with just the keyboard? These are key things to check. On the screen is a list of manual testing guides that provide thorough step-by-step instructions. Also shown are manual testing tools you can use daily. These include bookmarklets, like Accessibility Bookmarklets from accessibilitybookmarklets.org, and Andy, the accessibility testing tool, both easy to add to your browser. There are also color contrast tools, like Color Contrast Analyzer, WebAIM Color Contrast Checker, and Leonardo Color for contrast difference and colorblind safety. If you want to go beyond spot checks, you can integrate guided accessibility testing into your software development lifecycle. Guided accessibility testing combines automated and manual testing. It requires less expertise and covers more WCAG success criteria than automated testing alone. Accessibility Insights for Web is a free guided testing tool from Microsoft. You can install it as a browser extension. It performs an automated check of any web page and guides you through a step-by-step manual accessibility audit. It's more time-intensive than spot checks, but catches more accessibility issues. Going a step beyond is assistive technology testing. This involves using a screen reader, voice command, screen magnification, or other accessibility feature. There are a number of ways to test with assistive technology. We'll cover some screen reader use and ideal browser pairings. There are several screen readers on the market, and which ones you test with depends on what browsers your customers use. If your customers mainly use Mac devices, you only need to test with VoiceOver. It's the only screen reader available for iOS and macOS, aside from some basic browser extensions. On Windows, there are two very popular screen readers, JAWS and NVDA. They flip-flop in popularity from year to year, but it's a good practice to test with one or both. NVDA is free. JAWS is paid and comes with a high perpetual license cost. There's also Narrator, which is built into Windows. It's not as popular as NVDA or JAWS, but it's worth knowing about since it's already installed on Windows devices. When testing with screen readers, it's good to know which ones work best with which browsers. Think about it like cross-browser compatibility testing. On Windows, JAWS works best with Chrome. NVDA works best with Firefox or Chrome, and Narrator works best with Edge. On macOS or iOS, VoiceOver works best with Safari. On Android, there's a screen reader called TalkBack that works best with Chrome or Firefox. So far, we've talked about addressing accessibility during development and testing, but there's a way to address it even earlier in the process. This is called shift left. At this stage, you're not just catching issues and following best practices. You're actively planning to build accessible products from the ground up. Let's look at a couple of ways to do this. The first approach is to include accessibility in your user stories. For landmarks, an accessibility user could be, as a person who is blind, navigating a page can be challenging. I want to hear the main landmark regions, banner, navigation, and main, so I can quickly orient myself to the page. For required form fields, as a person who's colorblind, I cannot rely on color alone to identify required fields. I want another visual indicator that the text field requires input so I can complete the form without error. This helps you understand what needs to be considered while building your products. Taking this a step further, you can include accessibility as acceptance criteria. This list shows acceptance criteria for an input field with auto-suggest. Examples include, it must be focusable with a keyboard, it must indicate when it has focus, and it must inform the user that it's an editable field.